Hey guys, are you tired of people talking about self-care? And does it feel like self-care is something that's like a luxury of time and money that you don't have? Hi, I'm Catherine O'Brien at happywithbaby.com, and today I want to talk to you about the importance of self-care. Last week I was talking about how our well-being is really important to our children's well-being, and that it really is about the quality of time we spend with them versus the quantity of time. And I talked about how important that piece of self-care is. And so today I kind of wanted to go into how to kind of make it realistic, how to make self-care a thing that you can do. It's not always about going to a spa and getting a mani and a pedi and maybe taking little mini vacations and things like that. It's really about taking time for yourself and some of the day-to-day stuff that we tend to not do. So I came up with 3 little tips that I thought would be helpful, and you definitely don't have to do all of them, and I could probably come up with like 10 more tips, but we're gonna start small. And since if you're watching this, maybe self-care is something that you struggle with, I know you don't have time to listen to me rattle on for 10-15 minutes about all the tips that you should do. So what I'd like you to take away from this today is coming up with one thing that you could try to look at and do for yourself. So the number 1 tip that I have for you is self-care is saying no. What can you take off your list? I know there's a lot of things on there that you think that you have to do that maybe somebody else can do. Or there's 3 parties that you are invited to and you feel like you have to go to all of them. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to go to all of them. You don't even have to go to one of them. If it's too much for whatever you have planned for the weekend or the day or whatever, you can say no to it. And maybe you just send a gift, or maybe you don't even send a gift. Whatever you need to do, you don't have to do all the things that are presented to you. If you have older children and and the PTA wants you to volunteer time and you don't have the time, then maybe you donate like a product or something like that. You don't have to always do all the things if you don't have the time or the resources to do it. So what can you say no to? Or if there's something that somebody else is supposed to do and they're not doing it, and then you feel like you have to go and do it for them, you don't have to do it for them. You can let them figure out, either suffer the consequences of them not doing it, or you can figure out how can you delegate that out to somebody else. So if you haven't already, a couple weeks ago I shared my home life management hub spreadsheet, and it lists all the tasks that we have to do in our home to make things balance out. And so maybe you go through that and you start figuring out okay, what are the things that I do, and is there something here that somebody else in my family can do, or there's something on here that somebody else could do, or we could hire out, or whatever it is. Take a look at it and figure out what you can take off your plate, because I know that you're doing too many things and somebody else is capable, and maybe they're not going to do it like you, and that's okay, but somebody else is capable of doing it and letting some of that go. All right, so my tip number 2 is self-care is doing the everyday things. That's not exactly what I wrote. Self-care is doing the everyday care for yourself. So what I mean by that everyday care is, I imagine that your child, your small baby, they get their face washed and they get a new change of clothes and probably even their teeth brushed before they go to bed. Even the small babies that don't even have teeth. I know parents brush their teeth, their mouths, right? Are you doing the same thing for yourself? Because you probably aren't. And I know, because I talk to many moms that don't, and I know from experience for myself that there were many a times where I didn't wash my face before I went to bed, and was lucky I just rolled into bed, because most likely either I fell asleep in their room or they fell asleep in my bed and I hadn't even changed or whatever. So I want you to start figuring out how you can get those basic things that you need for yourself in your schedule. And maybe it's when your child is splashing around in the tub, maybe that's when you're washing your face. Or when they're getting their teeth brushed, you're brushing your teeth, because it's also important that they see you do those things for yourself. So where can you fit some of those things in? Or maybe they're playing in their playroom or playing on the floor or whatever, and you get some yoga stretches in, or you do a little mini workout, or you guys go for a walk and then you stop every block and do, 10 jumping jacks or do some squats or whatever you need to do to get some exercise in, because it makes you feel better, but you don't have time to like get to the gym or whatever. Like, how can you fit some of these things in to your daily things? So it's that daily self-care that you need for yourself too. All right? So I'd love to hear how you manage doing some of that. I know it definitely changes over time, and because what our kids need now changes, and so things that might be hard to do now eventually we'll be able to do. So your exercise schedule will change and adjust over time. Like now I can go and do the workout classes and things like that, whereas before it wasn't a possibility. Like that all comes around again. So where can you fit in the small things now if you can't do the big things? Okay, and tip number 3 is self-care is not adding another thing to your to-do list. So if you're like, oh, I've got to get to that yoga class, and then you're so stressed out getting there because maybe your husband was running late or whatever, or you were doing all these chores and stuff like that and you just couldn't get there, and by the time you get there you're frustrated and you're angry and you can't even relax into whatever you're doing, then maybe that's not something that you need to do right now. Maybe that's something eventually you'll get to, but maybe not now is the time. Or you can look at it and like, no, this is really important to me. This I know I really need to do. So maybe then you have somebody else put your baby to bed so you can get to the yoga class, or they get up in the morning and maybe it's an early morning one or whatever. Like let somebody else do something to help you do those things. So if you have to add to your calendar, which I usually suggest people to add to their calendar, their self-care for themselves, for their partner, because you both need to be taking care of yourself, and even just fitting in these daily to-do things, okay? So I hope this is helpful. I was kind of inspired to do this post by an article I wrote. I didn't write. This article I read, that's why I was inspired to do this, and it said, in one of the quotes at the very end, I'll put a link to it, the article, it's really good. It says, "It is becoming the person you want and are meant to be, someone who knows that salt baths and chocolate cake are ways to enjoy life, not escape from it." And I was talking to my friend Nicole, and she was saying, like, you don't wait till you're at a state of depletion where you need to go on vacation, right? Like those should be great things that we do and help rejuvenate us, but it shouldn't be like we're so, like it takes us all the vacation or whatever until we can actually enjoy those moments. So definitely would love to hear what you guys are doing with small kids to like make time for self-care. I know it can be really hard, especially the younger they are, but there are small ways to get into doing them, and it's something you need to be looking into. Like, what am I doing for myself on a regular basis? So I hope this is helpful. Again, I'd love to hear your tips. Feel free to post them below or share in an email with me. So until next time, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you next week because I'm going to be talking about how to avoid some of the excuses we give ourselves when it comes to self-care. So can't wait to see you guys next week. Bye.